The screech of tires tore through the night like a scream I couldn't unhear. Metal twisting into my bones as the world flipped end over end on that rain-slicked Brooklyn Bridge. I died that night, or so they told me later, me heart flatlining twice before the paramedics yanked me back from the void. But when my eyes fluttered open in the sterile hum of Mercy General's ICU, it wasn't fear that gripped me. It was him. The doctor whose steady hands had pulled my shattered body from the wreckage. His face the first light in my reborn darkness. Dr. Jordan Hayes. That's what his badge said, clipped to the pocket of his crisp white coat. But in that hazy first moment, he was just a pair of hazel eyes locking onto mine, steady as the Hudson River that had nearly claimed me. "You're back," he murmured, his voice low and rough around the edges, like gravel under rain boots. As he leaned in to check my pupil response, his fingers brushed my wrist, clinical, professional, and yet, in the electric silence of that room, it felt like the spark that reignited not just my pulse, but something deeper, something I'd buried under years of denial and bad decisions. I was Alex Rivera, 28, a graphic designer scraping by in a Bushwick loft. The kind of guy who'd always chased straight-laced dreams to please a family that never quite saw me. The accident I had on with a drunk driver on my way home from a late client meeting had just broken my ribs and collarbone. It had cracked open the closet I'd nailed shut since college. Lying there, tubes snaking into my arms, monitors beeping like accusatory heartbeats, I realized I didn't want to go back to that half-life. I wanted more. I wanted him. And in the weeks that followed, as my body mended under the fluorescent lights of New York City Hospital, I began to weave a web of quiet orchestration, turning chance into destiny, one accidental encounter at a time. Discharge day came like a thief in the gray dawn of early spring. The nurses fussed over my paperwork. The physiotherapist rattled off exercises for my atrophied legs. But my eyes kept drifting to the hallway where Jordan made his rounds. He was 35. I'd overheard divorced. No kids. The kind of man who carried the weight of too many night shifts in the faint lines around his eyes. Single. The chart didn't say, but the way he lingered a beat too long when he signed off on my release papers told me enough. "Take it slow, Alex," he said, his hand on my shoulder, firm and warm through the thin cotton of my shirt. "You've got a second chance. Don't waste it." I didn't. Not for a second. As the elevator doors slid shut on my hospital stay, I was already plotting. My phone buzzed with a text from my best friend, MIA, a fiery queer activist who'd been crashing on my couch since the crash. "Out tonight. You need air. Not antiseptic." Perfect. I'd start small. A coffee shop sighting. Nothing overt. Just enough to plant the seed. The first orchestration was child's play. I'd mapped his routine from overheard nurse chatter, black coffee from the beanery on Flatbush. Every Thursday at 7 a.m. En route to his shift, I nursed a latte at the corner table, pretending to sketch on my tablet, heart pounding like it had in the OR. When he walked in scrubs under his coat, hair still damp from a shower, I nearly choked on my sip. He ordered, scanned the room out of habit, and our eyes met. Not the clinical gaze of the hospital, but something sharper, curious. "Dr. Hayes," I said, feigning wide-eyed surprise, rising just enough to wave him over. "Alex from the accident. Fancy running into you here." His smile broke slow, genuine, crinkling those hazel depths. "Alex, you're looking vertical. How's the shoulder?" We talked for 12 minutes about the rain that wouldn't quit, the bridge reconstruction delays, my half-assed recovery jogs in Prospect Park. He laughed at my joke about trading scalpels for sketch pads. And when he left, he tossed over his shoulder, "Keep healing. And hey, if you need a checkup off the books." He trailed off, scribbling his personal cell on a napkin. For emergencies. It was a lifeline. I pocketed it like contraband. My pulse racing not from pain meds, but from the thrill of the chase I'd engineered. That night, alone in my loft with the city humming beyond the fire escape, I let myself imagine it, his hands not on a chart, but on me. Gentle. Intentional. The rebirth wasn't just physical. It was this hunger. Sharp and unapologetic. For a man who'd seen me at my rawest and hadn't looked away. Weeks blurred into a deliberate rhythm. Encounter 2, the farmer's market in Grand Army Plaza. I'd scoured his socials, nothing flashy. Just LinkedIn and a dormant Instagram of hiking trails upstate and pieced together his weekends. Vegan. No. But he favored the organic stand with those heirloom tomatoes. I wandered the stalls with a canvas tote, accidentally bumping his elbow as I reached for the same bunch of kale. Stocking my greens now? He teased, eyes sparkling under the canvas canopy, the sun cutting through morning fog. Guilty, I shot back, heart slamming. But only because you saved my life. Feels like I owe you a salad. We bartered for veggies, shared a laugh over overpriced artisanal cheese. And by the end, he had my number 2 for park run tips. He claimed. But the text came that evening. Tomatoes were a hit at dinner. What's your secret recipe? I replied with a photo of my chaotic kitchen. Shirt sleeves rolled up. And felt the thread tighten. It was intoxicating. This secret symphony. I'd always been the planner, the guy who mocked up client pitches and feverish all-nighters, but this was personal. Visceral. Every chance, meeting fed the fire. A shared bench in the park where he confessed the divorce had left him gun-shy on dating apps. A rainy afternoon in a used bookstore on Atlantic Avenue, where I stumbled into the medical history aisle just as he browsed. Our conversations deepened like roots cracking concrete, his late nights stitching up gunshot wounds in the ER. My stalled art career mirroring a stalled out coming out. He never pushed. Never pried. But I saw it. The way his gaze lingered on my mouth when I spoke. The brush of knuckles when we passed a book. Yet doubt gnawed at the edges. Was I puppeteering too hard? One night, after our 4th serendipity, a trivia night at a dive bar in Williamsburg where I'd tipped the host to seat us near his trivia league, I woke in a cold sweat. The accidents echo in my ribs. What if he found out? What if this rebirth was just another crash waiting to happen? But then came the 5th pull of the string, a gallery opening in Chelsea. My first since the wreck. I'd submitted a series on urban renewal, fractured skylines mending into hope, and whispered a prayer it drew him. It did. He showed up in a button-down that hugged his shoulders just right, nursing a club soda amid the wine-sipping crowd. You didn't tell me you were brilliant, he said, studying my piece Rebirth over asphalt, a canvas of twisted steel blooming into wildflowers. His voice was soft, almost reverent, and when his fingers grazed my elbow to point out a detail, the room tilted. I had to surprise you somehow, I whispered, throat tight. After all, you surprised me first. We slipped out early, the city lights blurring as we walked the High Line, shoulders brushing in the cool April air. He talked about his ex, a woman who'd left him for the predictability of suburbia, admitting in a rare vulnerability. I think I was always half asleep in that life. Saving people. It's the only time I feel fully awake. I nodded, sharing fragments of my own closet nights, scrolling Grindr in secret, terrified of the label. The accident woke me up, I said, made me realize I don't want to hide anymore. He stopped under a canopy of wilting vines, turning to face me, the distant hum of traffic fading. Neither do I. And then, tentative as a first incision, he leaned in. Our lips met soft, searching, tasting of possibility and unspoken fears. It was messy, real, his stubble rough against my skin, hands framing my face like I was the patient now. The kiss deepened, pulling me under like the river had. But this time, I didn't fight it. That night, in the shadowed alcove of my loft, clothes shed like old skin, we explored the map of each other's bodies. His touch was surgeon precise, yet trembling with need, tracing scars I'd earned in the crash, murmuring praises against my collarbone. I arched into him, whispering his name like a prayer, our rhythms sinking in a tangle of sheets and sighs. It wasn't just sex. It was revelation to men reborn in the quiet fury of desire, claiming what the world had tried to deny. But secrets have a way of unraveling. By summer's sticky heat, our encounters had evolved from orchestrated sparks to genuine flames. Lazy Sundays in his Upper West Side apartment, cooking pasta with too much garlic, debating medical ethics over rooftop wine. I loved him fiercely, this man who'd pieced me back together. But the guilt festered. Every accidental memory, from the coffee napkin to the trivia nudge, loomed like a ghost in the room. It cracked open on a sweltering July evening. We'd just returned from a weekend upstate, his hand in mine as we hiked the trails he'd posted about months ago. Back in the city, unpacking in my loft, my tablet buzzed with an email reminder, a calendar alert I'd set for his farmer's market routine, dated from discharge day. Orchestrated encounter 2. The screen glowed accusingly as he glanced over from the kitchen. Alex. His voice was steady, but his eyes, those hazel anchors, darkened with confusion. What the hell is this? I froze, the lie dying on my tongue. Jordan. It's not. He scrolled, piecing it together, timestamps, notes on his shifts, the gallery invite I'd anonymously forwarded through a mutual contact. Every time. The coffee, the market, the bookstore. You planned it all. Hurt laced his words, raw as an open wound. I thought this was real. Us. Was I just another patient you needed to fix? No. The word tore from me. Desperate. I grabbed his arm, pulling him close, the scent of pine from the hike still clinging to his shirt. You saved me, Jordan. Not just my body. A crash stripped everything away, left me hollow. And you. You were the first person who saw me, really saw me, without pity or pretense. I was scared you'd walk away, that a guy like me, a nobody artist with baggage, wouldn't stand a chance. So I made sure we collided. He pulled back, pacing the loft's scarred hardwood, hands raking through his hair. Do you know how that feels? Like I fell for a script, not a man. I've spent years stitching people up, only to watch them lie to themselves about what's broken inside. And now this. Tears burn my eyes, the rebirth's fragility crashing down. I'm sorry. God, I'm so sorry. But every moment since. The kisses. The nights we talked till dawn. The way you hold me like I'm not fragile, that's real. You're real to me. The most real thing since I woke up. He stopped. Back to me. Shoulders tense. Minutes stretched. The city outside a distant roar. When he turned, his face was a storm anger. Betrayal. But beneath it, that same empathy that had pulled me from the brink. I need to think, he said finally, voice cracking. It's too much. He left, the door clicking shut like a scalpel snapping closed. I sank to the floor, sobs racking my frame, the loft echoing with the void he'd left. Days blurred into a haze of unanswered texts, my sketches turning dark, twisted figures reaching for shadows. Mia dragged me to rallies, to therapy. Her fierce hugs a lifeline. You rebuilt yourself once. Babe, do it again. For you. But the accident's lesson echoed. Second chances aren't infinite. I threw myself into work. A new series on fractured trusts, exhibiting at a Soho space that drew crowds. Whispers reached me Jordan had requested a shift change, avoiding the ER wing where our paths might cross. It gutted me, but I painted through the pain, each stroke a confession. Then, 3 weeks later, as autumn leaves began to scar the sidewalks, an envelope arrived at the gallery. No return address, just my name in his neat script. Inside, a ticket to the Hudson Valley trails we'd hiked, and a note. Meet me at the Overlook. For P.M. Saturday. No scripts this time. Heart in my throat. I went. The drive north was a blur of gold-flecked forests, the river winding like a vein below. He was there, silhouetted against the sunset, hands in his pockets, wind tousling his hair. No coat, just a sweater, vulnerable in the chill. You came, he said, voice soft as the rustling leaves. I had to. For us. We stood in silence, the weight of unspoken words heavy. Finally, he sighed, turning to me. I hated you for it, Alex. The lies. But then I remembered the Oro you fought, even unconscious, clawing back to life. You didn't lie about that. And these past months, I've never felt more alive. Scared shitless, but alive. Tears pricked my eyes. I was terrified of losing you before I even had you. He stepped closer, cupping my face, thumbs brushing away the damp. Then let's write the rest together. No more orchestrating. Just this. Our kiss was fierce, forgiving. The river below witnessing as we mended what we'd cracked. In the days that followed, we rebuilt honest talks over coffee, no more napkins. Therapy sessions side by side. His hand in mine at family dinners where I finally came out. His quiet pride my anchor. By winter's first snow, as we walked Central Park hand in hand, scarves tangled, I knew the true rebirth wasn't the accident's mercy or my scheming heart. It was Hemustwell men who danced on the edge of loss and chosen love's steady pulse instead. We'd saved each other, not with scalpels or secrets, but with the raw, unfiltered grace of showing up, scars and all. And in that quiet victory, New York City felt like home, not just a skyline of steel, but a canvas vast enough for our story to bloom. The snow fell in fat, lazy flakes, blanketing the park paths in a hush that mirrored the tentative peace we'd forged. Jordan's gloved hand squeezed mine as we navigated the slush, his breath fogging the air between us. Remember our first real hike? He murmured, nodding toward a bench half buried in white. No calendars, just us fumbling through the mud. I laughed, the sound lighter than it had been in weeks. You mean the one where I twisted my ankle and you played field medic with that ridiculous backpack kit? Guilty. His smile warmed the chill, hazel eyes crinkling. We'd taken to these rituals small anchors against the drift of doubt. No more grand gestures, just the steady build of trust, brick by honest brick. Back in the city, life wove us tighter. His shifts at Mercy General pulled long hours. But he'd text mid-rounds, thinking of your laugh over bad takeout. I'd reply with a doodle of him in scrubs, wielding a stethoscope like a superhero. My art surged to a commission for a mural on queer resilience in the village. Bold strokes of intertwined figures rising from debris. Jordan came to the unveiling, standing at the back with a quiet pride that made my chest ache. But shadows lingered. His ex, Elena, resurfaced one crisp November afternoon. A call during our brunch at a cozy spot in the West Village, her voice tinny through the speaker as he stepped outside. I watched from the window, nursing my mimosa, the bubbles going flat as his posture stiffened. When he returned, face drawn, he slid into the booth with a sigh. She's getting remarried. Wants closure, I guess. Jealousy flickered, sharp as a scalpel's edge, but I swallowed it. You okay? He traced the rim of his coffee mug. Gaze distant. It stirs things up. We were together 8 years, high school sweethearts. The whole picket fence illusion. I loved her. Alex. But it was never complete. Like I was performing a role I hadn't auditioned for. The confession hung. Vulnerable. I reached across, lacing our fingers. And now. His eyes met mine. Steady. Now I know what complete feels like. Messy. Real. With a guy who schemes like a mastermind, but kisses like he means it. We left the cafe tangled in laughter. But that night, as we lay in his apartment, the one with the view of the reservoir and bookshelves sagging under medical tomes, doubt crept in again. His phone buzzed late. A text from an unknown number. I pretended not to notice. But sleep evaded me. The sheets cool where his warmth had been. The next orchestration wasn't my night, was fate's cruel twist. A flu outbreak hit the ER, pulling Jordan into double shifts. I threw myself into the mural's final layers, paint flecking my skin like war paint. Mia crashed our routine dinners. Her energy a whirlwind. You two are disgustingly cute. But Spillane X drama. Jordan deflected with charm. But I caught the flicker. Then, during a rare day off, we volunteered at a queer youth center in Harlem, storytelling sessions for kids navigating their own closets. He read from a picture book about a boy who builds a bridge to his true self. His voice steady, drawing giggles and wide eyes. Afterward, a teen cornered me. Your man's a keeper. My uncle's a doc, says coming out's like surgery. Gotta cut out the fear first. The word stuck. A mirror to our own incision. That evening, over takeout falafel in the center's community room, Jordan opened up. Elena's wedding invite came today. In the mail. All flowery script. Part of me wants to go. To close the loop. My fork paused midair. And the other part stays here. He set the invite on the table. Unopened. With you. But I need to face it alone. Prove to myself this isn't rebound, it's rebirth. I nodded, throat tight, and drove him to the airport for her rehearsal dinner upstate. The kiss goodbye was fierce, his hands fisting my jacket. 2 days. Then home. Home. The words settled like snow. Soft, but accumulating. His absence stretched. Texts sporadic amid the chaos of wedding prep echoes. I filled the void with art sketches of him reading to those kids. Lines blurring into something intimate. Erotic. The center's director saw them. Commissioned a series for their walls. Pride swelled. But so did the ache. Then, the call came at 2 a.m. Not from him. But Mia. Voice hushed. Alex. Turn on the news. Upstate crash. It's bad. My blood iced. The screen flickered to life, a pileup on I-87. Black ice and holiday traffic. Mercy General's name scrolled in the Chiron victims airlifted. No names yet. But my mind raced to Elena's venue. The drive back. Hours crawled. Dawn broke gray as I paced the loft. Phone clutched like a talisman. When it rang his number, I answered on the first trill. Jordan. Alex. Relief flooded his voice. Ragged. I'm okay. Wasn't me just. Close. Elena's fine. But the roads. God. It hit too close. Tears sprang hot. Come home. He did. Bursting through the door at noon. Coat dusted with flurries. Eyes red-rimmed. We collided. Arms wrapping tight. His face buried in my neck. I couldn't stop thinking, what if it was us? Another accident. Another loss. I pulled back, cupping his jaw. We're not fragile. We're forged. That night, we burned the invite in the sink, flames licking gilt edges. Smoke curling like released ghosts. Laughter followed. absurd and freeing. As we danced to old jazz on the record player, bodies swaying in the firelight glow from the window. Winter deepened, our bond a hearth against the cold. We hosted a solstice party. Mia and her girlfriend sent her kids and their families. Toasts to light and darkness. Jordan carved the roast with surgeon's precision, winking at me across the table. Later, under mistletoe I'd hung accidentally. His kiss was a vow, slow, deep, promising tomorrows. But spring brought its own tempests. My family's annual reunion loomed a sprawling barbecue in Jersey, the kind where uncles grilled politics and aunts eyed single nephews. I dodged it post-crash, but Mom's pleas wore me down. We've missed you. Mijo, bring that doctor friend Jordan. Right. He sounds steady. Steady. If only she knew. I confessed over breakfast, Jordan's fork pausing mid-bite. Tell them. With me. The drive was tense, highways humming with maize green haze. His hand on my knee grounded me as we pulled into the cul-de-sac, balloons bobbing like accusations. Hugs enveloped Mom's tearful, Dad's backslap firm. Jordan charmed effortlessly, grilling tips with uncles, garden chat with aunts. But as dusk fell, beers loosened tongues, and Uncle Raoul's slurs slipped. So, Alex, still playing the field? Or you finally settling with a girl? The yard hushed. Jordan's grip tightened on his bottle. I swallowed, heart thundering. Actually, Jordan's not a friend. He's my partner, the man who saved my life and my heart. Silence, thick as fog. Mom's eyes widened. Dad's jaw set. Whispers rippled. But then me ever the firebrand stood. Glass raised. To Alex and Jordan, for choosing love over silence. Who's with me? Glasses clinked. Tentative, then fervent. Dad approached later. Gruff, if he makes you happy. Son. That's enough. Hugs followed. Awkward but real. The first crack in a wall I'd long accepted as permanent. That night, in a motel off the turnpike, Jordan's touch was reverent. Bodies entwining like vines claiming trellis. Proud of you, he whispered against my skin. Each kiss a seal on our shared courage. Summer arrived on waves of heat. Our lives a tapestry of milestones. His promotion to ER chief. My murals feature in a local mag. Trips to Fire Island where we danced shirtless under stars. Hands linked against prying eyes. Yet, beneath the joy, a quiet undercurrent stirred talk of futures. Rings unspoken but felt. It crested one August evening. Post-shift. As we picnicked on his balcony overlooking the glittering skyline. Fireflies danced in jars we'd caught, like kids. Wine loosening our guards. I've been thinking, he said, voice low. About more than days. About forever. My breath caught. Yeah. He knelt. Not with fanfare, but simple Gracia velvet box from his pocket. Silver bands etched with intertwined roots. Alex Rivera, you orchestrated our beginning, but we've written the rest. Marry me. Let's make this official, no more secrets. Tears blurred the city lights. Yes. God. Yes. The kiss that followed was our truest hook, passionate. Promising. Pulling us into a horizon we'd earned. End of file 2, word count, 1008. Fall painted the city in russets and golds, mirroring the warmth that had settled in our lives like a well-worn quilt. Engaged, the word still tasted new, sweet on the tongue, as we navigated the practicalities amid the poetry. Wedding plans unfolded in stolen evenings, a small ceremony in Central Park's conservatory garden. Vows exchanged under autumn arches. Mia officiating with her trademark flair. Invites went out, family tentative but present. Friends raucous with joy. But joy, I've learned, is a jealous guardian, warding off old phantoms only until they regroup. Jordan's past reared not as Elena's ghost, but in the form of Dr. Marcus Hale, his former mentor and the hospital's attending Sir Jonah's silver-haired lion with a reputation for brilliance and barbs. Marcus had trained Jordan through residency, molding him into the doctor who saved lives like mine. But their bond had frayed over ethics clashes. Marcus's old-school cynicism versus Jordan's quiet advocacy for queer patients in a system that often sidelined them. It started subtly, a consult on a tough case, Marcus pulling Jordan aside in the halls. I noticed the tension in his shoulders at dinner, the way he'd poke at his salmon without appetite. Just work stress, he'd dismiss, but his eyes betrayed the lie. Then came the gala, Mercy General's annual fundraiser at the plaza. Black ties and champagne flutes masking the grind of healthcare battles. I suited up charcoal while hugging my frame. A pocket square in deep blue to match his eyes, feeling like an imposter among the donors and white coats. Jordan, resplendent in tux, squeezed my hand as we entered the ballroom. Chandeliers dripping light like liquid gold. You're my plus one in every sense, he whispered, lips brushing my ear. We mingled in charming, a board member with mural tales, him fielding accolades with modest grace. Until Marcus approached, glass in hand, his smile sharp as a lancet. Jordan, my boy, and this must be the artist. His gaze raked me, appraising. Heard you've gone domestic. Bold move in our line of work. Jordan stiffened beside me. Marcus, Alex, this is Dr. Hill taught me everything worth knowing. Flattery. Marcus chuckled, but his eyes lingered too long on our linked arms. Though I wonder if it's sustainable. Remember that resident who settled down, burned out in a year? Loves a distraction. Haze. Especially when it's unconventional. The barb landed, veiled but venomous. Heat flushed my neck. But Jordan's reply was ice. Love's the reason I show up. Marcus. Every shift, every save, conventional or not. We excused ourselves, retreating to a balcony overlooking Midtown's neon sprawl. Jordan's hands gripped the railing, knuckles white. He's always been like that, pushing buttons, testing resolve. But tonight, it felt personal. I turned him to face me, thumbs tracing his jaw. Because it is. You're not his protege anymore. You're mine whole. Unapologetic. His kiss was grateful. Fierce. Melting the chill. We returned to the fray. But Marcus's shadow clung. Manifesting days later in a late-night call, Jordan's voice strained over the line. He's recommending me for a fellowship, Boston. Top-tier research. But it's a dig too. Prove you're more than your distractions. The offer hung between us like a scalpel on a career pinnacle, or uprooting our fragile nest. We debated over takeout in the loft. Pros and cons scribbled on napkins like battle plans. It's a year, he said. I searching mine. I could commute weekends. But Boston winters without you. My heart twisted. And New York without you. The mural's expanding. The center needs us. But your dream. It's not a dream if it costs us. He pulled me close. Foreheads touching. We'll turn it down. Together. The decision settled. But ripples spread. Marcus cornered him in a staff meeting. Words leaking via a sympathetic nurse. Think of your future. Haze. Not some fairy tale. The homophobia, thinly cloaked in paternalism, ignited Jordan's fuse. He confronted Marcus in the break room. Voice low but lethal, my future's with Alex. My work's for patients like us queer kids who need docs who don't flinch. If that's a problem, maybe I'm the wrong fit here. The fallout was swift, whispers in corridors. A formal review. HR called it personnel matters. But we knew the undercurrent. Nights grew taut. Jordan pacing like a caged panther. Doubts resurfacing. What if he's right? What if I'm endangering my career or life? I'd draw him into bed. Bodies aligning like puzzle pieces. Whispers weaving reassurance. You're the doctor who saved me when no one else could. You're enough. Crisis peaked mid-October. Leaves carpeting the park in crimson wounds. A patient case blew up, a trans teen. Assaulted and admitted with internal bleeding. Jordan led the team, advocating for affirming care against protocol pushback. Marcus overrode him in rounds, citing liability, his tone dripping disdain. Jordan snapped not in anger, but resolve. He drafted a petition, circulating it hospital-wide for inclusive policies, training on queer competency. Colleagues signed in droves. Mia amplifying online. The story hit local news, framing Jordan as a trailblazer. Marcus retaliated with a transfer threat, but the board impressed by the buzz-promoted Jordan instead, Director of Inclusive Care. The announcement came over email. Confetti in code. And we celebrated in the park. Champagne flutes clinking under bare branches. To fighting the good fight. I toasted, pulling him close. To us. He countered, kiss sealing the vow. Winter's grip loosened into spring's promise. Our wedding a bloom of that resilience. The conservatory garden was a riot of tulips. Guests in pastel finery, Mia in a suit sharper than mine. Mom dabbing tears. Dad clapping Jordan's back with gruff approval. Vows flowed like river currents, mine. Of orchestrated beginnings yielding to authentic love. His. Of healing hands finding home in mine. The reception spilled into a nearby bistro. Laughter echoing off brick walls. As dusk fell, we slipped away to the Bethesda terrace. Fountain misting the air. Reborn. Jordan murmured, band glinting on his finger. Both of us. And in that moment, with the city as witness, I knew the accident hadn't just remade, might had scripted a love story grander than any scheme. One where every encounter, fated or forged, led to this, two souls, intertwined, unbreakable. Yet even in the afterglow of vows, life's script twisted with unforeseen drafts. Honeymoon whispers turned to reality, a cabin in the Adirondacks. 2 weeks of nothing but crackling fires and whispered confessions. We hiked trails slick with June dew. Jordan's hand steady on my waist during steep inclines. His laughter echoing when I slipped on moss. Nights blurred into tangles of limbs. The lake outside our window a mirror to our reflections naked. Unashamed. Utterly known. Back in the city, the honeymoon haze lingered. But work's tide pulled insistent. My mural series evolved into a traveling exhibit rebirth rhythms. Galleries from Brooklyn to LA clamoring. Jordan dove into his new role. Overhauling ER protocols. His passion a beacon that drew young queer med students to shadow him. We thrived. But the underbelly stirred. Anonymous emails to the hospital. Veiled threats decrying agenda pushing. Security upped. But paranoia crept, Jordan checking locks twice. Me scanning crowds at openings. It escalated one muggy July eve. I was at a panel in Tribeca, discussing art as activism, when my phone lit with Mia's text, 911. Jordan's at mercy. Not her patient meltdown. Heart lurching. I bolted. Cab weaving through snarl of evening traffic. The ER buzzed chaotic, gurneys wheeling. Voices sharp. I found him in a supply closet. Slumped against shelves. Scrubs blood-flecked, not his. Trans kid. He rasped. Eyes hollow. 18. Outed by his own doc during intake. Assaulted himself after. I stabilized him. But the family's suing. Claiming negligence. Marcus pulled strings. Rage boiled. But I knelt. Hands framing his face. You saved him. That's the truth they'll see. The case dragged. Headlines twisting. ER chief's risky advocacy endangers youth. Protests erupted outside the hospital, picket signs for and against. Media vultures circling. Jordan testified. Voice unflinching. Our duty is to heal, not harm with bias. The judge ruled in his favor. Family dropping charges amid counseling mandates. But the scar lingered, trust eroded. Colleagues wary. We retreated to Fire Island for a weekend reset. Boardwalk planks warm underfoot. Dunes shielding our bonfire. Salt air carried his confessions. I keep waiting for the other shoe, another crash. Literal or not. What if I can't protect us? I traced his wedding band. Silver warmed by flames. We protect each other. Remember the accident. I thought it ended me. But it led here to you. To this fight worth having. His kiss was salt-tinged. Desperate. Bodies yielding to the night's embrace on a blanket strewn with sand. Dawn found us entwined. The ocean's roar a lullaby. Fall brought balm, the exhibit's LA leg. Where Jordan joined me. Trading scrubs for gallery khakis. We wandered Venice Beach at sunset. His arm around my shoulders. Waves crashing like applause. A street artist sketched us 12 men silhouetted against the pier. Lines bold and intertwined. Soulmates, she said, gifting the charcoal. We framed it in our loft. A talisman. But winter's chill ushered fresh gales. Holiday season amplified fractures. My family's acceptance wobbled under conservative relatives' murmurs. Dad defending us gruffly but wearily. Jordan's mom estranged since his divorce. Only recently Warming sent a card with a check. No note. The silence louder than words. We hosted anyway, a potluck in the loft. Fairy lights strung like stars. Turkey and tamales mingling scents. Laughter flowed. But as guests departed. Snow swirling outside. Jordan's phone rang, his mother's number. He answered in the kitchen. Voice softening, Mom. Yeah. Alex is here. We're good, really good. I eavesdropped from the hall. Heart swelling as she replied. Tentative. Tell him I saw the news. Proud of you both. It was a bridge. Rickety, but real. New Year's Eve sealed it. Times Square's chaos. But we opted in a rooftop bar overlooking the ball drop. Champagne bubbling. As confetti rained. He pulled a velvet pouch from his pocket, not rings anew. But keys to a brownstone in Harlem. Steps from the youth center. Ours. He said. Room for a studio. A home office. A life. Tears mixed with cheers from the crowd below. How? Saved for it. Wanted to surprise you like you surprised me. That first coffee. We moved in March. Boxes unpacked amid paint-splattered chaos. Our first fight over wall colors dissolving into laughter and lovemaking on drop cloths. The house breathed us, my easel by bay windows. His journals on oak shelves. A garden plot where we planted wildflower symbols of resilient bloom. Spring unfurled with purpose. Jordan mentored a queer med cohort. Their gratitude a chorus at our housewarming. My exhibit returned east. Closing at MoMA's PS1, crowds gasping at Orchestrated Hearts. A piece of us veiled in abstraction. Critics raved, a testament to love's deliberate grace. Yet grace tested us once more that summer. A call from upstate, Elena. Post-wedding bliss shattered by miscarriage. Seeking Jordan's ear as old friend. Not ex. He went. Alone. Returning drained but whole. Closure. Finally. She wished us well, said she sees it now. The peace I couldn't give. Relief washed me. Our embrace a harbor. You're free. We both are. By harvest. With leaves turning. We adopted a rescue mutt rivers. For the one that nearly drowned May's wagging tail, a daily hymn to second chances. Evenings found us walking the block. Leashes and linked hands. Neighbors nodding hellos grown warmer. One crisp November dawn. As frost etched the windows, Jordan stirred beside me. Voice sleepy. Dreamed of the accident last night. But you were there pulling me out. I smiled into his hair. Team effort. And so our story wove on it linear, but layered. Each thread a lesson in vulnerability's power. The doctor who'd saved me had become my partner in every sense. Our encounters no longer secret, but sacred. In the heart of a city that pulsed with possibility, we'd orchestrated not just meetings, but a lifetime kisses in kitchens. Fights turned to forgiveness. Love is the ultimate rebirth. As the years layered like sediment in the riverbed of our lives, the brownstone became more than walls. It was a vessel for the unscripted. Rivers, our scrappy terrier mix, claimed the sunniest patch of rug. His snores a metronome to our mornings. Jordan's commute shortened with a hybrid schedule, allowing stolen coffees before rounds. My studio overflowed with commissions, queer icons rendered in vibrant defiance. We hosted brunches where Mia's latest protest tales mingled with Jordan's ER anecdotes, laughter stitching us into family. But time, that sly editor, introduced subplots we hadn't anticipated. At 32, I felt the itch of legacy, not kids. Not yet, but community. The youth center expanded, and I launched workshops, art therapy for trans and non-binary teens. Brushes as bridges over identity chasms. Jordan co-led sessions. His calm presence disarming fears. Hands that mended flesh now guiding strokes on canvas. One sweltering August, a boy named Kai enrolled 16. Wiry with defiance. Scars from conversion camp hidden under hoodies. His sketches screamed rage, jagged lines. Shadowed figures. Can't draw happy, he muttered in our first circle. Jordan knelt beside him. Voice gentle, happy's earned. Kai, start with the fight, that's where the color lives. Watching them, my chest tightened, echoes of my own post-accident haze. Jordan's light piercing it. Kai bloomed slow. His murals adorning the center's fence, phoenixes rising from asphalt. At the dedication, he hugged us both, whispering, "You guys, you're why I stayed." Tears pricked Jordan's eyes as we drove home. Windows down. City breeze ruffling our hair. We're doing it, Alex. Building what we wished for. Pride swelled, but so did the pull of roots. Fall brought a pilgrimage, road trip to the Grand Canyon. Rings glinting in the rear view as we chased sunsets. The chasm's vastness humbled Ustany figures on ancient stone. Our love a thread in eternity's weave. Nights in a tent. Stars wheeling overhead. We made love slow and deep. Bodies attuned like instruments in harmony. Back east. Autumn's palette framed a crossroads. Jordan's fellowship offer resurfaced revised. Part-time. With remote options. Boston's calling again. He confessed over cider at a harvest fair. Hay bales crunching under us. Research on trauma recovery could change ER protocols nationwide. Ambition flickered in his hazel depths, but hesitation shadowed it. And us. The center. Your murals. We adapt. I kissed his temple, tasting cinnamon from the donuts. Like always. Go. If it feeds your fire, I'll hold the hearth. He accepted. The year ahead a delicate balance. Weekends flying coach. Texts laced with longing. I threw into the void a solo exhibit in Boston. Bridges unbuilt. Canvases of distance and devotion. Opening night. He stood front row. Suit rumpled from travel. Applause thundering as he pulled me into a kiss amid flashes. Missed this. He breathed. Missed you. Holidays bridged the gap. Thanksgiving in Harlem. Our table groaning with fusion feasts, mom's empanadas beside Jordan's mom's apple pie. Her presence a quiet miracle after years of thaw. She clasped my hand post-meal. He glows because of you. Mijo. Christmas in Boston, snow-draped streets. His research lab a wonderland of data and dreams. We skated the common. Falls dissolving into giggles. His arm my anchor. New Year's found us on a rooftop. Ball drop distant. Our private countdown sealed with champagne and promises. Spring 2030 bloomed with return, Jordan's fellowship complete. Accolades trailing like confetti. Mercy through a welcome gala subdued. Post-pandemic echoes fading where he keynote on resilient care. I watch from the wings. Heart full. As he credited my husband. My muse. The word landing like grace. But grace. Ever elusive. Tested anew that summer. A storm hit literal. Hurricane Ada's remnants lashing the coast. Power flickered. Trees down. Our brownstone spared, but the center flooded. Volunteers rallied. Jordan and I knee-deep in muck. Hauling soaked supplies. Amid chaos. A call. My father's heart attack. Jersey Hospital. I drove through sheets of rain. Jordan beside. Rivers crated in back. Dad stabilized bypass successful but the vigil stretched. Beeps a grim chorus. Mom wept in the hall. Dad rasping from bed. Didn't say it enough. Son. Love you proud. Him too. Relief crashed. Waves of what-ifs. Back home. Jordan held me through sobs. He's a fighter. Like you. Recovery mirrored ours, weekly visits. Dad's gruff jokes masking frailty. Jordan consulting quietly on his chart. By fall, Dad walked the block with us. Cane tapping rhythm. Rivers sniffing ahead. Never thought I'd see it. He admitted one dusk. My boy. Building this. Thank him for me. Jordan's reply was simple. Family's what we make. Winter wrapped us gentle. Snow a soft editor to our chapters. Kai graduated valedictorian. Art scholarship to RIS this, speech a nod. To the men who showed me broken isn't ending. We cheered from seats. Tears freezing on cheeks. As 2031 dawned. We turned 36 and 41. Gray threading temples. Lines etching stories. A quiet anniversary. Dinner at the Beanery. Full circle. Napkins blank, but meaningful. 10 years since the crash. Jordan toasted. And every orchestrated moment led here. To unscripted futures. I clinked. That night. In our bed with its familiar creaks. Love unfolded lazy. Exploratory hands mapping familiar terrains with renewed wonder. Afterward. Tangled in sheets. He whispered. Kids. Not blood. But. Maybe foster. Give Akai a home. The idea rooted. Tentative shoots. We trained. Waited. And by spring. Placement came. Twins. Leo and Sage. 7-year-old siblings. Wide-eyed from foster limbo. Their first night. We read stories by flashlight. Rivers curled at their feet. Jordan's voice trembled on the last page, and they lived. Bravely ever after. Parenthood rewrote us sleepless nights yielding to sticky-fingered mornings. School runs amid paint-splattered chaos. Challenges arose, Sage's nightmares echoing my accident echoes. Leo's questions on why two dads. Met with honest tales. But joys eclipsed, park picnics. Finger paints turning walls to rainbows. Jordan's lullabies in the rocker weed salvaged. One evening, as fireflies danced in the garden, the twins chased rivers. Their laughter a symphony. Jordan pulled me close on the porch swing. Thesis. Amidst the grandest orchestration. I kissed him. Tasting forever. Ours. To the end. And in that verdant hush, with family woven tight, the accident felt not a scar, but a star guiding us to this luminous now. The twins' arrival folded time into new folds. Days a whirlwind of alphabet soups and scraped knees. Our love the steady keel amid the gale. Jordan adapted quickest his surgeon's calm translating to bedtime tantrums. Hands that sutured wounds now braiding Sage's hair with clumsy tenderness. I lagged. Imposter syndrome nipping. Am I enough? But Leo's gap-toothed grin overshared sketches. Sage's whispered love you. Papa Alex. Sealed the gaps. Summer 2031 scorched. But we escaped to the Cape, a rented cottage on the dunes. Waves lapping like invitations. The kids built sandcastles kingdoms. Jordan and I stealing kisses behind boogie boards. One twilight. As gulls wheeled. Leo unearthed a fossil spiraled shell. Ancient curve. Like a story trapped. He marveled. Jordan knelt. Hazel eyes alight. Stories evolve. But this one's just beginning. Back in the city. Evolution pressed. My career crested a Guggenheim Fellowship. Studio time in Marfa, Texas. Go. Jordan urged over packing pancakes. Create. We'll hold the fort. 2 months stretched. Video calls flickering with twins' chaos. Sage's ballet recital. Leo's science fair volcano erupting in the kitchen. Jordan's updates grounded. Miss your sketches on the fridge. And you in our bed. Marfa's vast skies birth fossil hearts installations of embedded narratives. Queer lives etched in stone and light. Opening drew crowds. Jordan flying in with the kids. Their gasps echoing mine. Post-show. Hotel room a tumble of limbs and laughter. His touch reignited, urgent. Reclaiming. Bodies rediscovering in the hush. Fall harvested bounty. Kai's first gallery show. Mentored by me. His pieces fierce testaments. We attended en masse. Twins in tiny bow ties. Jordan's arm my anchor as applause swelled. Full circle. Kai hugged us. You started this. Winter whispered changes. Dad's health waned cancer. Sneaky pancreatic thief. We rallied. Chemo drives. Jordan's expertise navigating trials. My art auctioning for funds. Hospital vigils blurred. Dad's hand frail in mine. Regret nothing. Boys. Love loud. He slipped in January. Snow muffling the world's keen. Funeral was Jersey stoic hymns and handshakes, but eulogy fell to me. He taught me family isn't given. It's grown. Like love. Jordan's grip steadied. Twins' drawings tucked in Dad's casket, wildflowers eternal. Grief carved hollows. But spring refilled. Mom moved closer. Bunking in our guest room. Her tamales a bridge to healing. The twins thrived in school. Sage's stories now laced with Papa Jordan says. Leo's inventions sparking family debates. Mid-year. A curve. Jordan's department faced cuts budget acts amid political winds. Queer programs first to bleed. Petitions flew. Protests pulsed. His leadership a lightning rod. Can't let them erase us. He fumed over late-night tea. I stormlit. I rallied artists' murals on hospital walls. Heal without hate. Media bit. Donors poured. The board relented. Programs saved. Jordan's role expanded. Victory bash in the brownstone. Toasts to resilience. Twins leading a conga line. Summer 2032 shimmered with serendipity. A documentary crew approached Reborn roads. Profiling queer couples' journeys. We demurred. But they persisted. Kai vouching. Tell your story. It's ours too. Filming wove intimate. Crash recreations. Me wincing in sim. ER saves. Jordan anonymized. Twin interviews. Dads are superheroes. Intimate cuts our wedding tape. Garden proposals drew tears on set. Premiere in fall. Tribeca Film Fest. Packed house roaring. Post-screening Q&A. Jordan's hand in mine. The accident wasn't end. It was edit. Cut to us. Awards followed Emmy nod. TED Talk invites. Fame's glare chafed. But we grounded. Family game nights. Rivers walks. Quiet suppers. Winter brought wonder. Twins' 8th birthday. Joint party with a bounce house in the yard. Sage wished on candles. More adventures. Leo, with you guys forever. Jordan caught my eye across the chaos. Smile soft. Forever's the plan. Spring 2033 greened with growth. I'm entered at RISD. Guest spots laced with Jordan's visits lectures on art meets medicine. A collab born. Therapeutic installations for pediatric wards. Colors calming chaos. But June stormed. Elena's call. Voice fractured. Miscarriage's echo had cracked her marriage. Seeking solace. She asked to meet the twins as auntie. If you'll have me. Jordan wait. Heart surgeon precise. Closure for her. Lesson for them in compassion. Coffee shop rendezvous. Neutral ground. Elena arrived poised. Eyes tracing the kids' faces, Jordan's nose on Leo. My curls on Sage. Awkward hugs thawed details. Her gift a locket with old photos. Auntie Elena. Sage tested. Beaming. The twins took to her. Playdate sprouting. It knit unexpected threads, barbecues where she met Mia. Stories swapping like recipes. Jordan watched. Relieved, healing circular. Fall harvested maturity. At 40, Jordan ran his first marathon, New York streets pulsing. Me and the kids at the finish. Signs waving. Our hero. He crossed gasping. Metal heavy. Collapsing into hugs. For you, all of you. My 40th followed. Surprise party in the garden. Lanterns glowing. Guests toasting the schemer who stole a heart. Speeches flowed, Mia roasting my napkin ploys. Kai crediting my canvas courage. Jordan's words hushed. You orchestrated encounters. I orchestrated a life. Best plot twist. Summer 2034 circled back. 10-year wedding vow renewal. Intimate conservatory garden again. Tulips defiant. Twins as ring bearers. Mom officiating now. Voice steady. Vows renewed. Through crashes and calm. I choose you. Reception spilled to our stoop. Neighbors joining the fray. As stars pricked. Jordan pulled me to the swing. What's next? Maestro. Kids' college funds. World travel. Us gray and grinning. He laughed. Kiss deepening. Sold. And so, in the weave of years, our tale endured not flawless, but fervent. The accident's echo faded to footnote, overshadowed by the symphony we'd composed, love. Loud and lasting. A rebirth for the ages. Decades, it turns out, are less a straight line than a spiral circling back to touch old wounds with gentler hands, widening into horizons once unimaginable. By 2040, the brownstone sagged under vines and memories. Rivers long buried in the garden beside a stone-etched loyal shadow. The twins, now lanky teens, navigated high school whirlwinds, Sage's theater triumphs, Leo's robotics club triumphs, both orbiting us with eye rolls and endearments. Jordan, at 50, wore silver at temples like laurels. His ER directorship a legacy of inclusive reform national models bearing his name. I, 45, traded solo exhibits for collectives, curating queer archives that preserved stories like fossils in amber. Our love, tempered by time, burned steady, anniversary getaways to the Cape, hands intertwined on dune walks, conversations deepening into philosophy over wine. Yet spirals dip. Sage's senior year unearthed my accident in a psych project trauma's long tail. You never talk about the dying part. She pressed over dinner. Eyes Jordan's hazel probing. I faltered. Fork midway. Jordan squeezed my knee under the table. It was dark. I admitted finally. Flatline twice felt like drifting in ink. Then his voice, pulling me back. She nodded, scribbling notes. But later, alone in our room, tears came unbidden. Jordan held me, heartbeat against my ear. You carried it so we wouldn't. But here I am here. Confessions flowed the nightmares I'd buried. The orchestration's guilt gnawing still. Afraid I'd break us. I whispered. You mended us. His kiss was absolution. Bodies familiar yet fervent. Rediscovering in the quiet. Leo's arc bent differently, coming out as bi. Casual at breakfast, like you guys. But with girls too. Pride swelled. But schoolyard barbs stung. We armed him with words. Jordan role-playing responses. Me sketching affirmation comics. Summer 2041 tested the spiral's curve. Jordan's routine checkup unearthed arrhythmia whispers of the stress that had shadowed his career. Manageable, the cardiologist assured. Beta blockers prescribed. But fear flickered ironic. The healer needing healing. We adjusted, yoga mornings. Trail runs with the kids. My art turning introspective pulse points. Abstracts of heart rhythms in crisis and calm. Exhibit proceeds funded a clinic wing. Named Hayes Rivera Resilience Center. Opening ribbon cut. Jordan's hand trembling slightly in mine. But his speech soared. Health isn't solitary. It's symphony partners. Family. Community. Fall brought farewells, mom's passing. Gentle in sleep. Her bedside a vigil of stories and songs. The twins eulogized Sage's poem, weaving her abuelita's strength into ours. Leo's gadget a music box playing her favorite bolero. Grief shared knit us tighter. Jordan's arrhythmia echoing, but not eclipsing. Winter 2042 whispered legacy. Sage deferred college for a gap year in Theater Berlin. Leo-eyed MIT. Robotics dreams ablaze. Empty nest loomed. But we leaned in renovating the attic studio. Travel beckoning, Iceland's geysers. Japan's cherry blossoms. Each vista a canvas for our later sketches. One aurora-lit night in Reykjavik. Bundled against chill. Jordan pulled a journal from his pack pages filled with our years, napkin scribbles. Ticket stubs. Twin ultrasounds, foster files. But cherished. Our archive. He said. Voice thick. For them. For us. I added a sketches under northern lights. Lines eternal. Infinite encounters. Back home. Spring 2043 spiraled upward. The twins launched Sage's off-Broadway debut. Us front row weeping. Leo's freshman dorm tour. Boxes packed with our notes. Proud doesn't cover it. Jordan hugged him. Eyes misty. Our 50th loomed mine first. A bash in the garden. Lanterns and live jazz. Guests spanned eras. Kai. Now curator. Toasting mentorship. Elena. Auntie extraordinaire. With her partner. Vows recited anew. Impromptu. 40 years of your chaos best plot. Jordan's turn. Summer solstice. Surprise hike to our overlook. Basket unpacked with vintage champagne. At crest. He knelt not proposal. But pledge to 60 more. Schemer. Laughter bubbled. Kiss ceiling amid wildflowers. Decade's end. 2050. Found us gray-grandparents Sage twins. Our carbon copies. Toddling at family reunions. Leo's adopted daughter. A Spitfire inventor. The brownstone echoed with babble. Jordan and rockers telling ER tales. Me illustrating their adventures. One eve. As harvest moon rose. We walked the block canes tapping in sync. Hands linked. Reborn. He murmured. Hazel faded but fierce. Every day? With you. The accident's gift. I replied. Squeezing. Us. And in that twilight stroll, with legacies blooming behind, our story closed not with period, but ellipsis open to whatever dawn the spiral next unfurled. Love. After all, isn't endpoint. It's the endless, orchestrated heart. In the quiet autumn of 2055, with leaves surrendering to the wind like secrets long kept, Jordan and I sat on the porch swing we'd refinished thrice over the decades. The brownstone, now a century-old sentinel in Harlem's evolving tapestry, creaked softly beneath us, its walls etched with the patina of lives fully lived. Sage's children, our grand twins, Eli and Mira, ate and fierce-chased fireflies in the yard, their laughter a bridge across generations, while Leo's daughter, Nova, tinkered with a solar gadget on the steps, her brow furrowed in that familiar inventor's squint. The air hummed with the distant pulse of the city, unchanged yet utterly transformed. Much like us. Jordan's hand, veined and steady in mine, bore the faint tremor of age, his arrhythmia long managed but a reminder of time's inexorable edit. At 65, he moved with the deliberate grace of a man who danced with death in ORs and living rooms alike, his hair a crown of white that caught the lantern light like fresh snow. I, 60, felt the ache in my joints from easel hours, but my eyes still sharp for shadows and strokes traced his profile, memorizing the lines that told our epic, the furrow from ER nights, the crinkle from twins' antics, the softness from our endless mornings. Remember the bridge? He asked, voice a low rumble, eyes on the horizon where Brooklyn's lights flickered like errant stars. I leaned into him, the swing's chain sighing. How could I forget? Metal scream, river's cold kiss, then you pulling me from the dark. He chuckled, the sound rich as aged whiskey. Pulled. You clawed your way back. Alex. Always the fighter. Fighter. The word evoked the spirals, dips, and peaks, the post-accident webs I'd spun. Coffee napkins as blueprints for fate. The gales of hospital politics. Elena's echoes. Dad's quiet pride in his final days. We'd weathered them all. Not unscathed, but scarred beautifully like the wildflowers we'd planted that first spring. Roots twisting through concrete to bloom defiant. The grandkids tumbled over, Eli brandishing a jar of captured lights. Papa Jordan, tell the doctor's story again. The one with the sneaky patient. Jordan's eyes twinkled, gathering them close Mira on his lap. Nova scooting nearer. Once, there was a wrecked artist. He began, voice weaving magic, who tricked a doc into coffee, then markets, then forever. Giggles erupted, but Mira tilted her head, wise beyond years. Was it tricky? Papa Alex. The tricking. I ruffled her curls. Heart full. Tricky and true. Love's like art starts with sketches, ends in masterpiece. But the best part, no erasers needed. As they scampered off, Jordan turned to me, hand cupping my cheek thumb, tracing the scar from a long-ago studio mishap. We've got stories for days. We do. And oh, the chapters, Sage's Broadway run, Leo's patent for adaptive prosthetics, Kai's museum wing dedicated to queer narratives, Mom's garden, thriving under Myra's green thumb, Elena's annual cards, her family, our extended constellation, the center, now a beacon with our names on scholarships, my archives, digitized for eternity. Yet the spiral's latest turn whispered finality. Jordan's checkups grew frequent, his energy ebbing like tide to moon. Just weariness. He'd wave off. But I saw the flicker, the same resolve that had yanked me from flatline now turned inward, bargaining with shadows. We traveled light that fall, a last jaunt to the Hudson Overlook, where proposals and pardons had sealed us. The drive was slow, canes propped in back, but the view river winding gold stole breaths. We picnicked on the tailgate, cheese and wine from the beanery, toasting napkin origins. Regrets? He asked, Hazel dimmed, but deep. None. You. His smile. Crooked as ever. Only that I can't orchestrate more time. We lingered till dusk. Hands linked. The overlook a witness to vows unspoken, but etched eternal. Winter crept gentle. Holidays a hearth of warmth. Grandkids chaos. Sage's carols. Leo's holograph fireworks. New Year's. We watched the ball drop on screen too crowded for old bone champagne flutes clinking in the loft. Twins' gifts unwrapped with glee. January 2056 dawned crisp. Snow veiling the brownstone like a shroud half-formed. Jordan rose early, as was his ritual coffee brewing. Journal open. I found him in the kitchen, slumped over pages, pen limp in hand. Jordan. Panic clawed, but his eyes met mine peaceful. Present. Just resting. He murmured, but the lie hung thin. Ambulance wailed. ER his domain turned patient bed. Irony bitter. Tests blurred, heart faltering. The arrhythmia crescendoing to arrhythmia no more. Family gathered, twins hushed. Grandkids shielded in side rooms. Mia's hand fierce in mine. He rallied once. Squeezing my fingers. Love you. Schemer. Tell the kids live loud. I will. Tears choked. But his smile held Hazel anchors to the last. He slipped at dawn. Monitors flatlining like echoes of my own long-ago beep. The room hushed. My world contracting to the hand gone slack. Grief's spiral plunged deep. Days dissolved in sketches of him Hazel studies. Hand poses eternal. The funeral was Harlem Heartfelt Center eulogies. Leo's robot piping his favorite jazz. Sage's monologue from his bedside tales. I spoke last. He saved lives, mine first. In wreckage and wonder. Doctor. Dad. Love of my life. Reborn in him. Forever. Spring greened without him. The brownstone echoing hollow. But spirals ascend. Grandkids' visits filled voids. Eli's drawings on fridge. Myra's questions drawing my stories. Sage and Leo leaned close. Their families are net. One June day. At the overlook, ashes scattered per his wish, I unfolded his journal. Pages chronicled us. Accident notes. Patient Rivera. Fighter. Enigma. Orchestration tallies crossed with love letters. Grandkid doodles. Last entry. Faded ink. To Alexmi heart's true rhythm. Keep orchestrating. I'll be listening. Tears fell. But so did laughter, wind carrying his voice in rustles. I sketched then, us. Intertwined under infinite sky. Lines unbroken. Years spiraled on. 60s solo but surrounded. Art mentoring Nova's genius. Eli's queer awakening met with my tales. The center thrived. A wing for elder Carehay's haven. Where I volunteered. Sharing stories to elders' circles. At 70. The Guggenheim revisited retrospective orchestrated lives. Rooms pulsing with our arc. Opening. Family-filled seats. Ghosts in every stroke. Post-talk. A young artist approached. Your story. It's hope. It's yours now. I replied, handing a napkin blank. Inviting. And in that exchange, Jordan's light flickered, wonderbirth not ended, but echoed. In every heart he touched through me. The accident. The doctor. The secret symphony, not finale, but foundation. Love. In its grand, gay, human weave. Endures kissing the void. Blooming eternal.